exchange rate of the US dollars against the Nepalese rupee reached an all-time high yesterday. The increase in the exchange rate of the US dollar has been attributed to the weak Indian rupee, with the possible decline of the price of crude oil due to the global effect of coronavirus. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the top stories of the hour. Prime Minister Sharma Oli is scheduled to be discharged from hospital in a few days. Doctors advise him to take complete rest for a month and return to work after 6 months. The exchange rate of the US dollars and price of gold records all-time high in the Nepalese market. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani approves the release of 1,500 Taliban prisoners as part of efforts to secure a peace deal with the insurgent group. And Leipzig advances to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, Tottenham 4-0 in aggregate. Atlanta also reaches the last 8, defeating Valencia 8-4 in aggregate. There has been significant improvement in Prime Minister Sharma Oli's health condition. Following his speedy recovery, Premier Oli is scheduled to be discharged from hospital in a few days. According to doctors, it will take at least 6 months for the Prime Minister to get back to his normal lifestyle. The Premier had undergone a second kidney transplant at the Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital on 4th of March and has been receiving treatment at the hospital since the surgery. At a press conference held yesterday, doctors attending to Premier Oli informed of significant improvement in the Prime Minister's health and preparations were underway to discharge him in a few days. However, doctors have advised him to take utmost care for a month and to wait at least 6 months before resuming work.
अहिले पुरै पब्लिकमा गएर भिडभाडमा जान चाहिने हामीले अहिले सल्लाह दिदैनौं, तर उहाँले आफ्नो दैनिक कार्य आफ्नो अफिसबाट सचिवालयबाट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ र अलिकता मानिसहरू खास गरेर रुगाखोकी लागेका मानिसहरू र अरु संक्रमण भएका मानिसहरू चाहिँ सँग चाहिँ अहिले अलिकता जोगिनु पर्ने अवस्था हुन्छ र त्यसको लागि अलिकता रेस्पेक्टेबल डिस्टेन्समा बसेर उहाँले काम गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ र एकदमै एक्टिभ चाहिँ नि उहाँले मेरो विचारमा 6 महिना वर्ष दिनपछि चाहिँ नि आफ्नो एक्टिभ ओरिजिनल एउटा अरु मान्छे साधारण मान्छे जसरी जीवन चाहिँ नि बिताउन सक्नुहुन्छ.
Likewise, doctors said it was a pleasure to look after the country's executive head. Doctors also informed that the health condition of the donor Samiksha Sangrola was showing improvements. The US dollar recorded an all-time high against the Nepalese rupee yesterday. Nepal Rashtra Bank yesterday set the buying rate of $1 at 118.24 rupees and the selling rate at 118.84 rupees. The exchange rate of the US dollar increased by 56 paisa yesterday in comparison to Monday. The previous record of the exchange rate of the US dollar was recorded at 118.73 rupees on 10th of October 2018. The increase in exchange rate has been attributed to the weak Indian rupee and the possible decline of the price of crude oil due to the global effect of coronavirus. The Nepalese rupee saw a decline as the Indian rupee weakened against the US dollar as it is pegged with the Indian rupee. With the appraisal of the US dollar, the government can face difficulties in controlling inflation in the near future. The government has projected 6% inflation rate for the current fiscal year. Likewise, the rise in value for US dollars can result in a higher trade deficit as Nepal imports more than it exports. The price of gold increased by 200 rupees per tola to reach a record high of 82,700 rupees per tola. The price has increased by 16,000 rupees per tola in the last 7 months. And with that, we'll take a short break here. For more news, do stay with us. In a bid to control the rising threat of the coronavirus outbreak in the country, the Nepal government this week made it mandatory for travelers from 5 specific countries to have a health report before traveling to Nepal. Ironically, the health desk at the Tribhuvan International Airport say they are unaware of the directive.
Health certificate को विषयमा हामी स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयको स्पष्ट निर्देशन पर्खिनुपर्छ. हामीलाई अहिलेसम्म स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयबाट हेल्थ सर्टिफिकेट जाँच गर्नु भनेर कुनै पनि निर्देशन आएको छैन. सम्भवतः यो पासपोर्ट इमिग्रेसनले पासपोर्ट सहित सायद हेल्थ सर्टिफिकेटको जाँच त्यहाँ गर्छ होला. हामीलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो निर्देशन आइसकेको छैन। हामी चाहिँ ट्राभल गरेर आउने यात्रुहरूको हेल्थ इन्फर्मेसन कार्ड जम्मा गर्ने, उहाँहरूको त्यो कलेक्सन गर्ने त्यो प्रक्रियामा अघि बढिरहेछौँ।
It's time now for the international update. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has approved the release of 1,500 Taliban prisoners as part of efforts to secure a peace deal with the insurgent group. The presidential decree requires all prisoners to give a written guarantee to not return to the battlefield. In exchange, the Taliban has agreed to hand over 1,000 government troops. It comes as the US begins withdrawing troops from the country as part of a linked agreement signed earlier with Taliban. According to the decree signed by President Ghani, all 1,500 prisoners will be released within 15 days, with 100 prisoners walking out of Afghan jails every day. Talks between the Afghan government and Taliban will take place in parallel with the release. If talks progress, the government has pledged to free 500 more Taliban prisoners every 2 weeks until a total of 5,000 have been released. As part of the agreement, the Taliban must continue its reduction in violence and bar Al-Qaeda or any other extremist groups from operating in areas under their control. The prisoner release is intended to build trust between both sides and kick off direct talks to end the 18-year war in Afghanistan. The talks were due to start yesterday, but negotiations were delayed by demands over the prisoner release. And moving on to more international news, British Health Minister and Conservative MP Nadine Dorries says she has been diagnosed with coronavirus. Dorries, the first MP to test positive, said she had taken all the advised precautions after finding out and had been self-isolating at home. It comes as a sixth person died from the virus in the UK, which has a total of 382 cases. The latest person to die was a man in his early 80s who had underlying health conditions. Meanwhile, NHS England said it was scaling up its capacity for testing people for the infection, with the number of cases set to rise. That will mean 10,000 tests a day can be done. Currently, 1,500 are being carried out. Confirmation of any positive test results will also be accelerated, with most people getting a result back within 24 hours. Dorries, the MP for Mid Bedfordshire, said in a statement that Public Health England had started tracing people she had contact with, and the department and a parliamentary office were closely following its advice. And with that, we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for yet another short break. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the locals of Palpa what should be done in order to maintain good governance at local level. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
कर्मचारीहरु नियमित रूपमा चाहिँ कार्यालयमा उपस्थित हुनु पर्यो। जनताबाट आउने ससाना गुनासाहरुलाई पनि सुन्ने त्यो किसिमको चाहिँ वातावरण यहाँ सिर्जना हुनु पर्यो।
हक हितको लागि हुने राम्रा कामहरु गरोस्, गर्दै जाओस् र सबैलाई राम्रोसँग जानकारी गराओस्।
कार्यक्रमहरु सूचना पट्टीमा राख्नु पर्यो हैन, सबै जनताहरुले थाहा पाउनु पर्यो, यो वेबसाइटहरुमा राख्नु पर्यो, पत्रपत्रिकामा निकाल्नु पर्यो।
सेवाहरु टाइममा हुन नसक्ने कुराहरु पूर्व सूचनाहरु जानकारी गर्ने जस्ता कुराहरु गर्यो भने सहज हुन्छ।
वितरित हुने योजनाहरु सम्पूर्ण वडाहरुमा सम्पूर्ण जनताहरुले थाहा पाउने गरी कामहरु हुनु पर्यो।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why hasn't Nepal Oil Corporation reduced the price of petroleum products despite a drastic decline in the international market? Your options are A, being profit-oriented, B, risk of being smuggled to India, and C, unscientific pricing system. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update.
Sports News.
German club Leipzig has advanced to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, defeating English club Tottenham Hotspur 4-0 in aggregate. In the round of 16, second leg match played at Leipzig's home ground this morning, the hosts talked out a 3-0 win over Tottenham. Trailing by a solitary goal in the first leg match, Tottenham looked out of sorts in the match. In this morning's second leg match, Marcel Sabitzer opened the scoring in the 10th minute to give Leipzig an early lead. Sabitzer doubled Leipzig's lead by scoring his personal second goal of the match in the 21st minute. Substitute Emil Forsberg found the net in the 87th minute and Leipzig sealed the 3-0 win over Tottenham to book a place in the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Likewise, Atalanta also reached the quarter-finals of the Champions League, defeating Valencia 8-4 in aggregate. In the pre-quarter-final second leg match played at Spanish club Valencia's home ground this morning, Italian club Atalanta defeated the hosts 4-3 to move on to the quarter-finals. In the second leg match played this morning, Ilicic scored all the 4 goals for Atalanta. Ilicic became the oldest player at the age of 32 years and 41 days to score a hat-trick in the Champions League. Ilicic converted a penalty kick in the 3rd minute of the match to give Atalanta an early 1-0 lead. He again converted a spot kick in the 43rd minute and scored goals in the 71st and 82nd minute as well. Kevin Gameiro scored a brace for Valencia in the 21st and 51st minutes, while Ferran Torres found the net in the 67th minute. With that, it's now time for our special segment, Laugh Out Loud.
Rashtriya Prajatantra Party and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party United have decided to force a unification one more time. The agreement was signed by RPP Chairman Kamal Thapa and Chairman duo of RPP United, Pasupati Samchar Rana and Prakash Chandra Lohani. The 10-point agreement has provision for the presence of 3 chairmen in the unified party that is named as Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. The top-notch RPP leaders have said that the unification of the 2 royalist parties is the need of the hour, as the general public has been looking for strong democratic forces. Our intention here is not to mock at the noble process of party unification, but interestingly, these 2 parties have joined hands and split a number of times since the restoration of democracy in 1990. In fact, people seem to have now lost counts on the number of times these parties came together and split again. It's ironical that the very 3 leaders were at the helm while the party decided to part ways the last time. In fact, since its first merger 30 years ago, the party had started to make a strong presence in national politics, but due to internal politics and bickering within the party, RPP split a number of times. The 2 parties have joined hands one more time, but there are chances that the general public might undermine their effort and consider it just as a part of lust for power. This is Amar Singh Pradhan for Laugh Out Loud and Kantipur News Desk.
Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is scheduled to be discharged from hospital in a few days. Doctors advise him to take complete rest for a month and return work after 6 months. The exchange rate of US dollar and price of gold records all-time highs in the Nepalese market. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani approves the release of 1,500 Taliban prisoners as part of efforts to secure a peace deal with the insurgent group. And Leipzig advances to the quarter-finals of the Champions League, defeating Tottenham 4-0 in aggregate. Atalanta also reaches the last 8, defeating Valencia 8-4 in aggregate. That's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Have a great day ahead.